Welcome to 100 Plus Black Men's Advice to Future Generations here at Wisdom of Our Elders. If you're feeling the content, please like and share the videos, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of the content. Today we're going to be talking about respect. Greeting. Who I am is not as important as why I'm here. Greetings. Welcome to the evolution of the mind. Who I am is not as important as why I'm here. Divine purpose has alerted me to the time. I am here to establish a platform to share the wisdom of our elders, reviving some of the lessons that we left behind, from their challenges, all the things they overcame, to their triumphs, celebrating the wealth of their experiences, where we can learn our past, we can share our present, and we can grow our future. The door is open. Join me on this journey through the wisdom of our elders. Who I am is not as important as why I'm here. Welcome to Wisdom of Your Elders. I'm sitting here with Brother Tad Cromwell, who's a fitness coach, community activist, devoted father, hosting co-host for two podcasts,
Yes.
and winner of multiple awards for his commitment to the community. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. The topic we discussed was respect. You said it was something you were really big on. Talk to me about that.
Well, I'm huge on respect. That's one of the principles I walk with daily, because I feel that we can get along a lot better in this world, in society, if we respect one another. You know, of course, we live in a diverse world, diverse communities, different culture, different ideologies, spiritual practices, and all types of things. However, respect is always the order of the day, because with respect, there's a common understanding and agreement that though we may not live the same lifestyle, we can hear each other out and learn about each other a little more if we just respect one another. And it's okay to respectfully disagree. Disagreement doesn't necessarily mean a conflict. It just means it's a different perspective on a certain situation and just a lifestyle, how we all interpret things that goes on in our daily lives.
Can you think of a time when you didn't handle a situation where you felt disrespected?
I can think of tons of times, even at my big age right now, and it never really works out. I won't give most recent incidents,
you can give a history.
but I'll give past incidents, in my late teens and early 20s where I felt disrespected, because disrespect and respect is always perception. And my perception of disrespect led me to commit acts of violence against people. And by the time I cool off, I'm either in a hospital bed or in a jail cell. So what that had taught me is that my response to my perceived disrespect wasn't actually the best option. So I had to really start thinking a little more wisely about choices I make when I had those emotions that made me feel I had to lash out for what I perceived to be disrespect.
And in those times, what was your perception of disrespect? What was being done that made you feel disrespected?
I've always respected myself, right? And I felt if anybody didn't view me the way that I viewed myself, it was an attack on my character. But of course, like I said, this is when I was young, so I'm thinking with a juvenile mind. And I would assume that people know me and know how I feel about myself, because I've always had a high level of self-esteem. And I've always thought people should honor that. But now stepping outside of myself, I realize people don't know me. They don't know who I am. They don't know anything about me except what I show them. And sometimes with our own behavior, subconsciously, we don't know what message we're sending out to people. Because sometimes when we talk to people, we can talk to people in a way that shows them that we don't respect ourselves, just by not honoring the human being that they are. If I talk to you disrespectful, that's proof positive that some part of me don't respect myself. Because if I did, I would live by the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. So with that misconception, from my perspective, I felt that they were disrespecting me, not honoring the person that I am. And I felt the need to lash out because I took that as an attack, which not all the time it necessarily was.
Now, when did you feel that switch where you could see that need to change your perception, change the way you perceived how people interacted with you?
About 20 years ago, I got caught up in a situation that caused me to get incarcerated, where I was looking at spending the majority of the rest of my life in prison. And I had no bail. And if I did have bail, I could have got out. So that was the time to sit and reflect. And though charges leveled against me weren't accurate, that was just for things that I've done in the past and things like that. So I understood that though you may not reap the consequences of an action last month, last year, 10 years ago, it eventually will catch up to you under the guise of something else. Mm-hmm. So I had an opportunity to just sit, reflect, and again, ask myself, how did I get here? How do I constantly get in trouble? I mean, from a child going to the principal's office, being put on punishment, to violence in the street where I'm getting my head bust, laying in the hospital bed, to constantly getting arrested for how I respond to perceptions of disrespect. You know, I had the time to sit down. It's like God put me on timeout. Like, you know what? You're on punishment. Think about your life. Think about where you are right now. Think about everything that led up to here. And I did. And I made a promise. I was already in transition though, prior to that. But still 1 foot in the life, 1 foot out. And those forces, you got positive and negative forces. And sometimes those negative forces will just drag you and try to pull you back to the darkness. And I guess it's the universe testing your commitment to yourself. How sincere are you about changing? And they will put you in certain situations to say, are you going to give into this darkness or say, what's the use in trying? I give up. I've been like this all my life. I'm going to stay like this. Or are you going to say, you know what? I'm going to defeat this. I've been a fighter all my life. Things have always tried to set me back. People have always tried to bring me down. Am I going to succumb to the negative perception of who people think I should be? Or am I going to rise to the occasion and be my better self that I know I can be? And that was the revelation. That was the pivotal point, the most pivotal point that I could put my finger on.
Now, what would you say to a young man or young woman who's on that same path to keep them from getting into that jail cell?
You got people that love you. You know you do. Sometimes we don't want to hear it. It could be a church-going auntie who always want to beat you in the head with a Bible. It could be grandma with her old sayings that you may not understand yet because you don't have that life experience to interpret it. It could be that teacher that tell you all the time, you're smarter than this. Apply yourself. Please listen to them. And also listen to yourself. There's a voice in you that tell you right from wrong. Everybody, when they're doing wrong, they know when they're doing wrong. Now, wrong and mistakes are two different things. Now, mistakes are pretty much honest. It's something with a better intention, but it didn't work out like you wanted to. Wrong is when you know you're wrong. And when you're wrong and you know you're wrong, that's when you're dead wrong. And a lot of times we go out here hoping we'll get away with the things that we do wrong. But if we believe in a higher power, if we believe in a higher self, we should know that we will pay for that eventually. It may not be right there down the line. It may be 5-10 years from now, but you are going to have to cash in on what you picked up.
Now, you mentioned, we all have that one person that is telling us, the reality, and I can tell you from a social worker, some don't. Some have no one. They are literally out here living the best way they can, just taking bits and pieces. For that young man or that young woman who doesn't have that extra voice, talk to them. What would you say?
Well, I would disagree with that because I've had friends who didn't believe in God, didn't believe in just being better, thought this is all it was. And I was that friend, telling them, nah, son, it got to be better. Somebody's telling you, everybody in your life can't be that negative. Sometimes it's what we give our attention to. Sometimes we just don't want to hear it. And because we don't want to hear it, we tune them out and make them non-existent. But there's always somebody. Like, I'm quite sure they never skimmed through the TV and saw T.D. Jakes or somebody on,
True.
It's out there. Mm-hmm. Like, even if they listen to hip-hop, I'm quite sure you listen to Nipsey Hussle. He always got a good word in one of his songs, if not all of them. There's something out there that's telling you there's a better way. And if you don't think there is, just listen to your higher self. If it don't feel right to you, if it don't sit right with your spirit, look for options. Look for the life that you want to live. That's what I did. I used to see kids who had both parents at home. Now, mind you, I had both my parents in my life. Like, God bless my mother. She just recently transitioned. And my father has always been there for me. Even through his own personal struggles, he has always showed up for me. So I would be lying if I said he wasn't there. He just didn't live in our house. But I did have a beautiful stepfather, my mother's husband, who was an excellent husband to my mother and a great provider to the family. But there's somebody there. You pick your life yourself. You look at certain people and you ask them, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm thinking about this. I don't want to live like that no more. You can't. We always have a choice. Every morning we get up, we're blessed with the choice. We could go left or we could go right. I choose to go right a lot, though sometimes I veer to the left, but you know. So I would tell young people, please, just dig into yourself. Take 10 minutes to pray and meditate. Sit and listen to the silence. That higher thought in your mind, that's God speaking to you. Sometimes we just gotta open our heart and let God in. And I'm not talking about no specific religion or anything like that. I'm not trying to get all preachy on people. But when we say God is good, we're talking about God is a representation of all that is good in anything. Whether it's a flower, whether it's the sunset. When we say God is good, God represents the positive forces in the universe. And we got to accept it as such. You don't have to put a name on it. It's just your interpretation. However, there are positive and negative forces that exist. We can't deny that. That's just how the universe works. So if we want better in our life, we have to create it. For me, when I was younger, and I hate to be so wordy, but I had got tired of the life. I got tired of running from cops. I got tired of going to friends' funerals. I got tired of getting phone calls, yo, we need to bail such and such out, how much you got? It gets tiring. And then you look at other people who don't even know what that's like. They don't even know what a crack house smells like. They never had a hungry night. You know? I know the struggles. I know the struggles. I mean, my family did the best that they could with what they had. I had friends who had nothing. Nothing. Their house was the crack spot. You know? But, you know, the way your story starts doesn't have to be the way it ends. So I encourage young people to be the superhero in your own story. Because there's not one superhero you can name that didn't have a trial and tribulation where the villain or the dark forces was getting the best of them and you thought it was bad for the superhero and they found the gumption. They dug deep inside themselves and found that spirit, that energy just to not quit and give up and keep pressing forward and ultimately get the victory. Because that's what we want to do. We want to win in this life, no matter what that may look like. We just want to win without hurting people too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you working with us. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been Wisdom of Our Elders. Thank you.